Hi guys, back in 2019, Boris Johnson made a number of promises when he was running for office. Apart from the main one, getting Brexit done, which seems to be going so well we needn't talk about it, there were others. One in particular was the pledge to build 40 new hospitals. Johnson had prepared his cabinet to repeat the promise. Well, that was about 3 years ago. So how many of those 40 hospitals have actually been built? Let's just refresh our minds on what Johnson said back in 2020 following the election victory.
And it's great to see everybody here. We're here to deliver for the people of this country. They won't make any difference in themselves. This is about improving the quality of everybody's life across our whole country. We're going to tackle waiting lists in our NHS. And how many hospitals are we going to build? 40. How many more police officers are we?
Okay, sorry about the audio towards the end. He said, how many hospitals are we going to build? And the entire cabinet said 40. Now, Matthew Taylor, who is the head of the NHS Confederation, had this to say about Boris Johnson's promise to build 40 or actually 48 hospitals. It doesn't seem to be going very well.
I'm less concerned about the inquiry and more concerned about what's happening in relation to the health service, which is that there was a promise of 48 new hospitals. It was initially 40, then went up to 48. And then further promises, a promise that 6 of those hospitals would be completed by 2025. None of those hospitals are now going to be completed. And in fact, no work has even started in most cases. Now, the problem that we've got is that we've got hospitals that are in a very poor condition. We've got some hospitals that suffer from a particular problem in relation to the concrete in those hospitals. And so there are genuine risks for patients. There's dangers that those hospitals have to close elements of themselves down. So, we've got a big problem about capital investment in our health service. We invest a third less per head for NHS staff than similar kinds of systems. So, whatever the inquiry comes up with, and it's pretty clear that the Prime Minister's pledge is not going to be met, what we need to see action in relation to our crumbling NHS estate.
So you have 3 problems here. First of all, you have the problem that no new hospitals are being built. There was a promise to build 6 by 2025, and none of these have actually happened. Second problem is you have existing hospitals that are crumbling, literally crumbling. He's talking about the cement within some of these buildings is rendering these buildings unsafe, so they can't be used. So this puts more pressure on other hospitals. And third, he talked about the lack of investment. So there's less money, less public money going into the NHS per person than in systems of a similar kind. So there you have it. You have lies about new hospitals. You have lack of investment for the existing hospitals, making them safe, that they can be used, and general lack of investment per person, per patient. And I've said this before, the whole idea is to offload the patients onto private healthcare. And if people can't pay for that, well then tough. That is what we've seen over the last number of years, the privatization of the NHS. If the Tories truly cared about the NHS, they wouldn't be privatizing it. They would be investing in it. They would not be allowing existing hospitals to crumble away, and they would actually be building new ones. Now, the definition of a new hospital depends on who you talk to. And here is Therese Coffey, our old friend, talking about what a new hospital actually is.
Let me ask you about something on the front page of one of the papers regarding the building of new hospitals, a National Audit Office review of whether the project is value for money. What is, in the government's description, a new hospital?
Well, I think guidance has been set out very clearly. Quite fundamentally, it's either a brand new hospital, maybe on new land, it may be adding to extensions to hospitals. Indeed, it can be complete and utter, in effect, rebuilding of hospitals as well. The point is that we are getting on with it. We are also, it's a fairly long-term process, I think, till the end of the decade. And meanwhile, I think 10 have already been built or established in that way. And I think there's currently 5 more underway. But all these things go through a particular process within government about making sure that we fulfil that role.
So a new hospital can either be a completely new building on new land, redone, and hello, here's the new hospital, or it can be a major refurbishment and alteration of all but the building frame or main structure. That's not new, though, is it?
It's not. So there have been no new hospitals. So remember, when Boris Johnson made his promise back in 2019, before the election, he wasn't talking. He just said new hospitals. He wasn't clear about what a new hospital was. And many people at the time said, he's not going to build new hospitals. He'll be refurbishing old hospitals. But it seems that the Tories aren't even doing that.
Well, I think it is. It's effectively you have an outside shell and you can have a complete redoing of a building. It's just the outside shell. So I think it's that what matters is about getting 21st century kind of hospital environment for the safety. But
that's a new
So what she's trying to say here is that, what we're doing is we're leaving the outside of the building and we're refurbishing it on the inside. But in the previous interview, you heard Matthew Taylor talking about how the structure, the superstructure, the external structure itself is not safe. So what's the point in, I don't know, knocking down a few walls inside if the main structure is crumbling? Therese Coffey wasn't able to actually present any evidence to support the claim that new hospitals have been built. So what does she do? She changes the definition of new. It's like if I took your car, if I said, I'm going to buy you a new car, I'm going to give you a new car, and instead of giving you a new car, I take your old car, repaint it, change some things inside, and hand it back to you, and say it's a new car. Well, that would actually be better than what the NHS is receiving from the Tories, because at least you'd still have a car. This is about crumbling buildings that are a risk to patients, and they are being ignored. And instead, it seems it's just rhetoric. No new hospitals have been built. 6 are supposed to be built by 2025, 40 by 2030. None have been completed, none have been started even. And all we're hearing about is a bit of refurbishment in existing hospitals. Boris Johnson lied, the Tories lied. There are no 40 new hospitals, or 48, as the case may be. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.